Two people. Same salary. Same city. Same age. 10 years later. One is financially free. The other is still waiting for things to improve. Nothing dramatic happened in between. No lottery. No sudden breakthrough. No once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Just decisions. Small ones. Repeated. Mostly invisible. And that's where the story actually begins. It's easy to believe money is about how much you earn. That income is the main variable. Earn more, live better, build wealth. Clean. Logical. Comfortable. But reality is quieter than that. Less obvious. More uncomfortable. Because two people can earn the exact same amount and live completely different financial lives. Not just in lifestyle, but in trajectory. One moves forward. The other circles. And from the outside, it doesn't always look like a mistake. It often looks normal. Let's make this real. Imagine two individuals. Call them A and B. Both earn a stable monthly income. Not extreme. Not struggling. Solid. They pay rent. They cover expenses. They have some room left over. On paper, they are identical. But watch what happens next. Person A treats income like fuel. Something to be used carefully. Directed. Allocated. Person B treats income like permission. A signal that spending is justified. Same number. Different meaning. At the end of the month? Person A has a plan. Not a perfect one. Not complicated. But intentional. A portion goes to expenses. A portion to savings. A portion to investment. Before anything else happens. Person B does it differently. Expenses come first. Then lifestyle. Then whatever is left becomes savings. If anything is left. This sounds small. Almost trivial. But it creates something powerful. Order. And order compounds. Let's zoom in. Both people get a raise. Same percentage. Same increase. Person B feels it immediately. A better phone. More convenience. More comfort. Nothing extreme. Just upgrades. Logical ones. After all, income increased. Person A notices the raise too. But responds differently. Lifestyle changes, slightly. But allocation changes more. More goes into assets. More into long-term positions. The difference isn't sacrifice. It's direction. Now fast forward. A year passes. Person B feels stable. Life is good. Income is higher than before. But savings? Not dramatically different. Person A feels similar. Nothing extraordinary. But something subtle has shifted. There are small assets now. Small systems. Small streams starting to form. Not impressive. But real. This is where most people lose the plot. Because early on, there is no visible difference. No dramatic gap. Both lives look fine. And when there's no visible problem, there's no urgency to change. Now let's introduce something uncomfortable. Time. Because time doesn't treat both paths equally. Person B's life grows linearly. Income goes up. Expenses follow. Savings fluctuate. Step by step. Predictable. Person A's path feels slower at first. Almost boring. But over time, something shifts. Compounding begins. Not just in money. In behavior. Because habits reinforce themselves. Person A becomes more aware. More deliberate. More focused on long-term outcomes. Person B becomes more comfortable. More reactive. More anchored to current lifestyle. And comfort has a cost. Let's talk about mindset. Not in a motivational sense. Not in vague terms. But as a system of decisions. Because mindset isn't what you say. It's what you repeatedly do. Person B sees money as something to enjoy now. Which isn't wrong. But it's incomplete. The focus is present-oriented. Immediate. Can I afford this today? That's the question. Person A asks something slightly different. What does this cost me tomorrow? Same purchase. Different frame. This is where the divergence begins. Not in big risks. Not in bold moves. But in small filters applied daily. Let's take something simple. A purchase. Person B evaluates it emotionally. I want this. I deserve this. It's not that expensive. And most of the time, they're right. It's not expensive. Individually. Person A runs a second layer. Not just, can I afford it? But, what is this replacing? Because money is never just spent. It's redirected. 1,000 Indian rupees spent today. Isn't just 1,000 Indian rupees gone. It's potential investment, delayed. Growth, postponed. Opportunity, shifted. And that's not dramatic. But it's cumulative. Now multiply that across years. Hundreds of decisions. Thousands. Most of them small. Most of them forgettable. But together, they create direction. Here's the irony. Person B doesn't feel irresponsible. They're not reckless. They're not making obvious mistakes. They're doing what most people do. Which is exactly the problem. Because average behavior produces average outcomes. And average outcomes rarely lead to financial independence. Now let's layer in something deeper. Risk. Person B avoids it. Not entirely. But instinctively. Stability is the priority. Predictable income. Predictable life. Which makes sense. But it also limits exposure. Person A approaches risk differently. Not recklessly. But intentionally. Small bets. Calculated experiments. Because growth requires uncertainty. And here's where it gets interesting. Risk doesn't disappear when you avoid it. It changes form. Person B avoids investment risk. But accepts inflation risk. Opportunity risk. Stagnation risk. Quiet ones. Person A accepts short-term uncertainty to reduce long-term limitation. Different trade-offs. Same word. Now let's talk about effort. Because this is often misunderstood. Person B works hard. Long hours. Consistent output. Reliable. Person A also works hard. But directs effort differently. Not just toward income. But toward leverage. Leverage is the multiplier. The thing that separates effort from outcome. Without it, you're trading time for money. With it, you're building systems that work beyond your time. Person B's income depends entirely on their hours. More work, more money. Less work, less money. Linear. Person A starts building nonlinear elements. Investments. Side systems. Assets. At first, they do almost nothing. Which is why most people quit. But if they continue, those small systems begin to produce. Not immediately. Not dramatically. But consistently. And consistency compounds. Now fast forward 5 years. The gap is still not massive. But it's visible. Person B earns more than before. Lives better than before. But still depends entirely on income. Person A earns, maybe similar. Maybe slightly more. But now has additional flows. Small ones. But independent. And that changes something psychological. Dependence decreases. Options increase. Now 10 years. This is where the difference becomes undeniable. Person B has optimized their job. Higher salary. Better position. But the structure remains the same. Income depends on effort. Time is still the core currency. Person A has shifted structure. Not completely. But enough. Income is partially detached from time. Assets exist. Systems run. Leverage is real. And that's when the paths stop looking similar. Here's the uncomfortable truth. It was never about intelligence. Or discipline alone. Or even opportunity. It was about how money was interpreted. From the beginning. Same salary. Different meaning. Different behavior. Different outcome. Now zoom out. Because this isn't just about two individuals. It's about a pattern. A system most people are part of. Without realizing it. The world encourages spending. Convenience. Comfort. Immediate access. Everything is designed to reduce friction. Which makes Person B's path easier. Default, even. Person A's path requires resistance. Not extreme sacrifice. But awareness. And awareness is rare. Because it requires pausing. Questioning. Choosing differently, when the easier option is available. Now here's the twist. Person A doesn't feel rich for a long time. There's no early reward. No instant validation. In fact, sometimes it feels like they're falling behind. Less visible lifestyle. More delayed gratification. And that's where most people turn back. Because the short term looks worse. Even if the long term is stronger. Person B, meanwhile, feels progress. Better things. Better experiences. More immediate feedback. Which reinforces the behavior. This is the trap. Not of money. But of perception. Because we measure success in the short term. And consequences in the long term. And by the time the long term arrives, most patterns are already set. Now let's bring this back to you. Because this isn't about judging one path over the other. It's about recognizing the system you're operating in. Look at your own decisions. Not the big ones. The small ones. Repeated ones. How do you interpret income? As permission? Or as a tool? How do you approach spending? As isolated moments? Or as part of a larger system? How do you treat time? As something to trade? Or something to eventually free? Because those answers don't just reflect your mindset. They shape your trajectory. And here's the part that lingers. If two people can start in the same place, with the same resources, and end up in completely different realities, then the difference isn't luck. It isn't talent. It isn't even income. It's something quieter. More subtle. More uncomfortable. It's the system of choices you stop noticing. So the real question isn't, are you earning enough? It's, what is your current system quietly building for you? And if nothing changes, where does that system take you 10 years from now?